When Nanako heard this, she asked in surprise, "Charlie, what kind of gift are you going to give him?" Charlie smiled and said, "Presumably he is still anxious to get answers. Angry because he doesn't understand why Ruoli disappeared and why she was dropped by someone." Nanako said, "This is indeed the case. Dad said that my uncle is under a lot of pressure now because it is difficult to do this kind of critical task. The main reason is that the expectations of the people are too high. If you do it well, everyone will be happy, but if you fail, it's very likely to make you suffer and face the anger of the people." Charlie agreed and said, "Yes, this kind of thing is a double-edged sword. If you don't use it well, you will hurt yourself." After speaking, Charlie said with a smile, "But, the gift I give him can make him turn this double-edged sword into a single-edged sword?" Nanako asked in amazement. "Charlie, what do you mean by this? A double-edged sword becoming a single-edged sword, right?" Charlie said with a smile. "In other words, with my gift, he doesn't have to worry about harming himself if this sword is not used well." Nanako hurriedly said, "Charlie, what exactly is this great gift you are talking about?" Charlie smiled and said, "You tell him that the reason why Ruoli was dropped is that the Su family and the Japanese self-defense forces are working in collusion against the TMPD. Ah?" Nanako's voice was extremely surprised. "Charlie, what you said is true. The Su family really colluded with the self-defense forces?" Charlie asked her. "When did I lie to you?" Nanako hurriedly explained. "Charlie, I didn't mean that. I just thought, this thing is too subversive. How can the self-defense force, as part of the army, be so absurd?" Charlie smiled and said, "There could be 1,000 interpretations. The reason why the Su family and the self-defense forces fly and stalk each other is not for profit. The main reason is that the Su family's energy is too large to cover the sky. You tell your dad's friend, let him focus on breakthroughs from the self-defense forces, and he will definitely make significant progress." After speaking, Charlie said again, "As long as your uncle can find real evidence of collusion between the self-defense forces and the Su family, even if there is no way to capture Ruoli back, you can still fight a beautiful turnaround on behalf of the Metropolitan Police Department." Nanako also knew very well that before Charlie didn't tell her about this, the key point of this matter was whether her uncle could smoothly arrest Ruoli. But now, the key point of this matter has immediately changed. As long as the uncle finds absolute evidence that it is indeed the Su family and the self-defense force that replaced Ruoli, the Metropolitan Police Department can instantly get rid of all responsibilities, and all the gangsters will be dumped to the Su family and the self-defense force. Thinking of this, Nanako hurriedly said with joy, "Charlie, then I will inform my uncle first. Thank you for this great gift. As long as the trouble is solved, I will ask uncle to thank you, Charlie. I will ask him to thank you personally." Charlie smiled and said, "You don't have to be so polite. As long as I come to Japan in the future, or if there is anything I need, you will help me, I know, so there is nothing to be polite about." Nanako blurted out, "Charlie, don't worry. My uncle has always been very affectionate and righteous. If he can come back with Charlie's help this time, he will definitely remember Charlie's kindness." Charlie smiled and said, "Then I will reveal a little more information. You must ask him to check the maritime self-defense force that went to sea last night. The inner ghost must be out of this group of people. Everyone catches them all for a sudden trial, and they will definitely find a breakthrough." Nanako thought for a moment and said, "The level of the self-defense force is higher than that of the Metropolitan Police Department. If you arrest people directly, it may be difficult to push, and the self-defense force will definitely interfere." Charlie smiled and said, "Isn't he from the Homeland Security Department?" "As far as I know, Homeland Security is the most important thing for any country. Therefore, people in the Homeland Security Department must be higher than the military. He can ask his former colleagues or leaders to help, and the Homeland Security Department will come forward to arrest people in the self-defense force. I believe the self-defense force has absolutely no guts to interfere." After a pause, Charlie said again, "After the Homeland Security Department catches people, they can be handed over to the TMPD for interrogation. No matter how many people are caught, they will all be isolated and interrogated separately." "Find the key clue," Nanako couldn't help exclaiming. "Charlie, your method is really great. I will tell him now. Thank you on behalf of my uncle. Charlie smiled and said, Okay, you can tell him quickly, I'm just waiting to see this great show of tide reversal. Charlie only revealed to Nanako that the Su family colluded with the self-defense forces and exchanged for Ruoli, but did not tell her that the whole thing was that the Su family and the self-defense forces played the game together. On the surface, it was a release, but it was actually a left-hand invert of these inside stories. This is mainly because these words do not have much meaning when they come out of his mouth. Moreover, the more clues you give, the easier it is to interfere with the opponent's concentration. Therefore, he only talked about the secret trade between the Su family and the self-defense forces, and the rest, let the uncle of Nanako follow the clues he gave, go in depth, and let him dig out the background. That would be more lethal. At this moment, Eastcliff, Su family mansion. Ruoli and the accompanying crew members hadn't heard any news for so long, making Changfeng Su anxious. Xin Su was also worried about this matter. It's just that Xin didn't know the inside story of the whole thing. He thought that the Su family had an accident while rescuing Ruoli. So he asked Changfeng a little anxiously, Dad, what the hell is going on? Don't our people want to take Ruoli back to China by the waterway? Why suddenly there is no news, and only the ship is the one left by the Japanese? The guard intercepted, Where did Ruoli go? Changfeng said depressedly, How'd I know? I know as much about the whole thing as you do. You ask me, how can I answer you? Xin saw his father's tone a little irritated and hurriedly apologized. Dad, calm down, and I am not targeting you. It's just that this fact is too weird. My heart is always hanging. This should not go wrong, Changfeng said coldly. I have sent someone to Japan to investigate this matter. Once there is any news, I will communicate it to you as soon as possible. Xin sighed worriedly and said, Dad, who did you communicate with, in the Japanese self-defense force? How about giving me contact information and I will call him to see if there are any missed clues? As soon as Changfeng heard this, he became frustrated, and said to him, May I give you your contact information? The grandson of the Japanese self-defense force now thinks I've played with him and is chasing after me asking me to give him an explanation. Call him, wouldn't Master's overall plan become clear to the whole world? Thinking of this, he said with a dark face, I said, I have sent someone to investigate, and news will be sent to you simultaneously. Do you have any comments on my arrangements?